tough to move on from that, but I will move on. And, I was trying to plan out the show as best as I could. And one person whose positivity I respect very much, who always has a way of, bringing up spirits because he's such a great role model in the work that he does with kids, and who represents everything that I think is great about martial arts, is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So wanted to talk to him first, and he is patiently waiting for us on the phone. Stephen, are you there?
I am here.
Good to talk to you, Wonderboy. It's good to have you on the show. There's a lot to talk to you about. And honestly, when I booked you on the show, it was before all of this craziness on Twitter last night that popped up between you and Tyron Woodley. So explain to us from your perspective, what is going on, this fight that, we appear, it appears as though it's going to happen. UFC 209, you seem to think it's going to happen. There's a back and forth. From your perspective, what's the status of the fight?
As of right now, I signed the contract. I was given a contract weeks ago, and it's been signed for weeks. So, we're just waiting on his signature, waiting for him to man up and do what everybody knows what he should do, and he's not doing it. And it's very disappointing. And to me, he's just not acting like a champion. It was a draw. He even said that we have unfinished business, but it seems like he's just calling out everybody else but me. And so, you know what? Last night I was just like, I'm just gonna leave this here. There's a picture of us, both of our hands raised, and my signed bout agreement. And I said, waiting on you, bud.
When did you sign that bout agreement?
It was weeks ago. I think about 3 weeks ago that, we signed it, and, kind of went back and forth with Dana and hopefully, trying to get this signed bout agreement from him. I've done my part, and he's just got to do his. He knows who he should step out there with next, and that's me. I look at it as, if you're a true champion, how can you be happy with a draw? You can't. That just baffles me.
Do you think that he doesn't want to fight you, that he's trying to find another opponent, for whatever reason, bigger name, bigger pay, who knows the reason, but do you think that he is trying to avoid fighting you next?
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like, and I really do feel that. I mean, he's called out, who was it, George St. Pierre, Nick Diaz, Damian Maia. I mean, he's even gone to the point where he wanted to go up a weight class to fight Bisping. It's like, the bully in the room. He's looking for everybody else who, he probably knows is not going to fight him. It just doesn't, the fans don't want to see it. The UFC doesn't want to see it. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, calling out Nick Diaz, who, hadn't fought in years, and he's just kind of turning his head to the one guy who will fight him, and I think should fight him, and that's me.
When you saw that Bisping stuff come out, I think it was right after 207, what did you think?
I thought it was just kind of like a publicity stunt. Something that Bisping was probably, flattering Tyron a little bit. Tyron probably thought he was being serious, but that's how I took it. Is Bisping saying we'll do it, blah blah blah, just kind of flattering him a little bit, but I guess Tyron was actually being serious. My management company also manages Bisping, and it just doesn't make sense, and I think Bisping knows that it doesn't make sense to fight him.
And so that back and forth was interesting to me for two reasons. First, I wouldn't call it didn't come across as angry, like you didn't seem angry, but you usually kind of try to avoid this sort of things, so, and I'm wondering if this was kind of you saying like enough is enough, like I'm just going to put it out there, because, you don't strike me as the kind of guy who's, posting contracts and things like that. Was that your way of saying enough is enough? Like, had you reached your breaking point at that point?
Yeah, man. I mean, enough is enough. I mean, it just really frustrates me to see a champion or somebody say they're a champion acting the way he's acting. Going out of that last fight with the draw, still having the belt around his waist, saying that he won the fight. It's almost like he's happy with a participation trophy, and that's not, to me, how a champion should act. And I was that's pretty much me saying, hey, this is it, let's go. This is enough is enough. Enough playing around. Sign a contract. and let's determine who the real champion is March 4th.
And then when he says that you're kind of acting entitled, that's another thing that kind of jumped out at me. What's your reaction to that? I mean, because that's an accusation, right? I mean, for someone to act entitled, what do you think of that when he says that or writes that to you?
When I read that, I just started laughing because there's not an entitled bone in my body, and I posted that up last night. The contract was given to me. I didn't beg for it. I didn't go to the UFC like, give me this contract. I want this fight, blah, blah, blah. No, they sent me the contract. UFC wants to see this fight happen. And I just signed it, I don't know where he's getting that from. And there was a few guys on there saying, hey, Steven, why do you feel entitled? And, I don't feel entitled at all. I was just offered the contract. I signed it, and I know that he's got a bout agreement sitting there in his home, probably, he's probably looking at it right now. He just needs to man up and sign it. Just sign it. And let's determine whether, who the champion, the real champion is. And I think he knows, which is why he's not signing it.
At this point, are you preparing for March 4th? Do you think the fight will actually happen at the end of the day?
Oh yeah, I'm preparing. I've been preparing for March 4th. Back in the training camp, bringing guys in for March 4th, and I've signed it, so that's what I'm shooting for.
And when you see this sort of back and forth happening, and he says maybe I'm going to give it to Damian Maia and all this, is there any part of you that's worried that you might lose the fight, that they'll for whatever reason change their mind? And because we've seen guys sign bout agreements as recently as Khabib and the fight not materialize, are you worried that you may not get this title fight at the end of the day due to this back and forth?
That whole thing last night was just to actually get him to sign it. I think he's gonna. Hopefully, he's gonna do that. And to be honest, I'm not too worried. I'm focused on it, and I don't need to be worried about that. I don't need to sit at home and just fixate on whether is he going to give it to this guy, he's going to give it to that guy. In my head, he's going to sign it, and we're going to do our thing March 4th. So I'm in training camp now, training as hard as I can. For this fight. So, he's calling out everybody but me. Who else? I mean, he can say, who else you going to call out, man? Who else you going to call out? The fans, the UFC. It just makes sense. They want to see this rematch.
How many times have you watched the first fight?
You know what? I've only watched it one time.
Really? Why?
I've only watched it once. After every fight, if it's a win, if it's a draw, if it's a loss, if it's a first round knockout, we always go back the week after the fight, and we go back and we tweak things, and we see where I made my mistakes, and we did that. Sat down with all my coaches, and we watch it one time, and then we move forward from there. We know exactly what I've got to do, and now we just got to go into the gym, and we're doing it now and execute. What I could have done better in my last fight and improve. That's the only way we're going to get better. And there's a lot of fighters out there who don't do that. They just get into a rut and train the exact same way and work the same things they've been working since day one, and they don't improve. Which is why I think Rory McDonald is so successful, because every time he steps out there, he's got something different. He's got something new he's been working on, and we're the same way.
And so you won't watch that fight again?
You know what? As we get closer, probably just go back and see exactly. Yeah, we'll definitely watch it again. But as of right now, I've only watched it once.
Okay.
And
when you watch it, I mean, that one time that you watched it, do you recall how you scored it, and if it was different than what you thought happened in the moment on that night?
I felt I definitely won the second, third, and fifth round. The fourth round, I know they gave him a 10-8. I did get knocked down twice. Ended up getting that deep guillotine, but then I ended up the last minute and a half I was on top, raining down punches on the guy. You know what? I'll give him that 10-8. At first I didn't agree with it, but I'll give him that 10-8. I felt he won the first round, obviously, to end up taking me down, but he just laid on me. He hit me with a little elbow in the last round, which cut my nose. It wasn't devastating. It wasn't it didn't knock me silly or anything. It just cut me, and. Yeah, man. He won two of the five. I thought I won three of the five.
If he won 2 of the 5 and you 3 of the 5, but he won a 10-8, my math may be bad, but would that equal a draw? That would equal a draw, right?
I don't know. I mean, 10-8. I think I would. Yeah, I don't know. I think so.
Yeah. So you didn't really have a big problem with the end result, but you think, okay, it was inconclusive. Let's do it again. What do you say to people who say, okay, you had your crack, you had your shot. Unfortunately, you didn't win. Damian Maia was next. He should get a next. What's your response to them?
Well, a draw is a draw. I mean, it might as well just like the fight didn't even happen. It was a tie. And what baffles me is that he's okay with that. How? I mean, that's really not. You're really not defending the title. It was a tie. So you have to go for round 2 to determine who the true winner is, who the winners of that, and the rightful owner of that belt is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what just makes me mad. I fight for the honor and the glory, and that's just not being very honorable to me and a true champion.
Mentally,
if it was me.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry.
If it was me on the other end.
Yeah.
Before I even stepped out of the cage, I would be asking for a rematch because there was no winner. There was no winner.
So you're saying if you were Tyron as champion and you fought to, like, let's say you become champion at some point and you have a title defense and it's a draw, you would like to fight that guy again to have a winner fair and square.
Yes, and that's me, and that's how I look at it, man. If you're champion, if you are the champion, prove it. Fight the number 1 contender. Don't be picking and choosing, trying to pick everybody else but the rightful guy. And he's even said that we've had unfinished business. I think it was right after the fight. But, yeah, man, it's just disappointing. And I think a lot of the fans are seeing that, and it just doesn't look good for him.
Leading up to the fight, there were some words, and then after the fight, like in the post-fight press conference, it seemed like you guys were kind of friendly. Has all that, those good vibes, are they all gone now again?
No, man. I still have respect for Tyron. I mean, he's a tough guy. He's an athlete, man. He's a tough opponent. But just do the right thing. It's like me telling a friend, hey, man, I see a buddy of mine not doing the right thing. I want to tell you, do the right thing. And he knows what it is. He's just not doing it. But yeah, I see him out. We shake hands. We're all buddy. But when we step out there in the octagon, it's going to be a little different this time.
Looking back mentally, how much did it kind of mess with you, if at all, seeing, a family member, Chris Weidman, someone who you're so close with, a best friend, if you will, a training partner, lose the way he did, and then you having to go right in there and fight in the biggest fight of your life? I mean, I always kind of wonder about those things. You can't just ignore it. You're a human being. You have feelings. Did that screw with you at all?
When it did happen, yes, man. It of course, I felt for Chris. I mean, he was winning the fight. He ended up getting hit with the jump knee, man, getting knocked out. Especially, he was one of my best friends. And immediately I was thinking about his kids and his wife sitting there watching it. So it was, I'm not making any excuses. After that fight, I knew I had business I had to take care of that night. And I was focused going out there. So I don't think it affected me how I performed. I know Chris has said in the past that he felt that it did affect me, but I'm the type of guy that doesn't make excuses. I went out there and did my thing, and what happened, and we're just going to move forward from there. And I know he's going to be a better fighter from it, and I want to be a better fighter from it. So it does stink actually being in the back watching your best friend get knocked out like that. And it is devastating. And
if you could, in a perfect world, like what's the biggest thing that you can't do again in this? If this rematch comes to fruition, as you're hoping it does, is there something that you feel like really hindered your performance in terms of your game plan, your approach, your attack, that you can't do again this time against Tyron Woodley?
The thing I can't do again is not hold back.
Huh.
My last fight, I was very hesitant on throwing my kicks and my punches, and just the way things felt. I didn't listen to my body. Some moments out there, your body or you feel like this technique would be better or that technique would be better. I think I went out there and played a little safe, and I just can't hold back. I just got to go out there and let my hands and my feet go. If you go back and watch some of my previous fights, I do a lot more kicking. And I did very little kicking my last fight, pushing sides, working angles. There's a lot out there that Tyron has not seen that I'm capable of, and And I think that going into this next fight, that would be an advantage because I'm not going to hold back.
So is it possible that the moment kind of made you hold back a little bit? Like, were you kind of nervous because it was MSG, first title fight, things like that?
I think that might had a lot to do with it. It was a title fight, biggest fight of my life. And I think going out there, I was just, I think I was hesitant and, not wanting to get hit or getting taken down, or maybe that was going through my head a little bit, or, I don't know. I really don't know what the deal was. I just didn't let it go. Going back watching the fight, I'm like, man, it'd been perfect for me to throw this combination or this kick here and that kick there, switching sides here. And I just didn't do it. I just did not do it. And, I'm going to prepare myself more during this camp than I ever have before. So there's no doubt in my mind when I step out there, I'm going to be prepared. And that's what gives me the confidence to go out there and do that. And, just going to go out there and do my thing, my friend. I just got to let it go.
If Tyron is listening to this, what's the message to him? What do you want to say to him?
Just stop messing around. And that's what he's doing. He's messing around. He's picking everybody else. He's doing these what-if fights. Well, me and Bisping, me and Connor, me and Damian, me and Nick, me and George. And the rifle guy, the guy who's sitting there willing to fight you, is right here, already got the contract signed. Just sign it, man. That's what I want to tell him. Just sign it and let's do this. And you can't be happy with the way things went down. So let's finish this.
And before I let you go, I got to ask you about this because I was so jealous of you. You got to train with my main man, Josh Donaldson, in Toronto, MVP, star of the Blue Jays. In fact, my picture where I'm beaming like, a little schoolgirl at a Justin Bieber concert, you're the one who took the picture. That's how big of a mensch you are. You took the picture of me and Josh Donaldson, and I never do that. I never ask for pictures with people I see at events, but I'm just such a big fan of his and the Jays. What was that like when you got to actually, teach him a few things, hit mitts, things like that? You got to hang, and then you watched the whole event with him? What was it like hanging with Josh Donaldson?
Yeah, man. I talked to him right after the Ronda Rousey fight, FaceTime, and we said that, we talked, and we got to hang out, man. I mean, he's such a down-to-earth guy, and people don't know that. They see a lot of these athletes, and I think, some athletes out there or some stars out there maybe give the rest everybody else a bad name where they act, but Josh is a down-to-earth guy, very cool to hang out with. He's a normal dude. And a tremendous athlete. Some of the things that we were doing, I would show advanced guys, hook kick, spin hook kick, and he was throwing it. He sent me a video the other day throwing some spin kicks to his buddy. I'm like, what? Like, why aren't you fighting, man? Why aren't you fighting right now? And he's just a really nice guy. I mean, I know from talking to him, you were talking to him, he's such a down-to-earth guy, and man, he's going to be putting that belt on around my waist. He's already called it. We already talked to Dana White. He's going to be down there.
What?
He's already made plans to be down there March 4th, and he's going to be the one putting that belt around.
Oh, my God. Wait, so you guys are still buddies now? Like, you talk on the phone, you hang out, things like that?
Yeah, well, we haven't hung out since Toronto.
Wow.
We do chat. Talk to him after the Ronda fight. He FaceTime me. We're just sitting there talking about life, man.
Gosh, next time call me in. We'll do a three-way, we'll chill.
Sounds good to me, bro.
That's amazing. Josh Donaldson in the cage. Did you know who he was beforehand? Are you a big baseball fan?
I was never a real big baseball fan at the time. I got a lot of buddies of mine who play baseball, and my brother played football, but, I've always been really focused on my sport. But to see how much these other guys in these other sports, tremendous dudes and tremendous athletes they are. And he's actually down to come to South Carolina and do some training with me, some cross training when he's not, when he's not in full swing in the season. So,
yeah.
we're going to be getting some cross training in, and he's a big fight fan.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. So to go out in Toronto, work out with him and his friends, hang out during the fight and everything, it was definitely an honor.
Yeah, he's always tweeting about the UFC. It's really cool to see, some of these athletes that you love watching, and they kind of share this the same passion for the sport that, you know, we love so much. So yeah, that was amazing. I loved watching those clips, you guys facing off, and then this little nugget that he'll be in Vegas for the fight on March 4th. That's really cool stuff. Kudos to you, Steven. Appreciate your candor. Appreciate you coming on and sort of explaining where things stand. And, you know, obviously for your sake, I hope the fight materializes and we get to see it once again. So best of luck, and hope to see you out there in Vegas as well.
Thanks a lot, my friend. You have a good one.
Same to you. There he is, Stephen Thompson. The saga continues. Hopefully we'll get some answers to this, and also the Khabib Nurmagomedov-Tony Ferguson fight. As I said on Twitter on Saturday, that has been the plan since day one. Some things being thrown out on Twitter here about deadlines and all that. I hope we've learned from history that stuff isn't exactly how the UFC is run. And so the plan has always been Wonder Boy, Woodley 2, and then Khabib Ferguson for the interim belt on that card, UFC 209. Unfortunately, right now, no Diaz brother, but we'll see. We'll see if they can get those two fights done. As I'm told right now, it's looking good. It's, you know, less than 2 months away, so they got to announce something, I would imagine, this week. So stay tuned for that.